Hi, ladies, and welcome to day 2 of the Keto Lifestyle for Women Challenge. Today, I want to talk about understanding your macros. What exactly are your macros? Macros are carbs, protein, and fats. And so you want to learn a little bit what they are and, how do you calculate them? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And of course, I'm going to keep my notes here next to me because I do have a tendency to go over with time and I don't want to overwhelm anybody. The purpose of doing this is just to keep it simple. So first thing we're going to talk about is carbs. Carbs are the major fuel source that most people function off of today. So good examples of carbs are your grains. So your grains are your wheat, your oats, your rye, your barley. And of course, you've got what comes from that, your crackers, your chips, well, not necessarily chips, but crackers, a lot of your snacks, your cookies, your pastries, your pastas, and even also your rices will come from the non-glutenic grains, which I still think we should have a limit on that. So that's like your teff, your millet, your aramis, your quinoa. So those are some other forms of glucose. Legumes, your breads and your peanuts, your beans and your peanuts. Vegetables, that's where you're going to get your carbs and your fruits as well. So those are some of the sources. Proteins, let's talk about proteins. Proteins are your building blocks for the body. They're very important to make amino acids. So where are you going to get most of your protein? Well, you have animal based and then you have plant-based, and I have a list here for you so you can take a look at everything I'm talking about is on this list. So you have your animal proteins, you have your legumes, which is primarily your beans, and then you have your nuts and seeds. So those are where you're going to get your protein. And your protein also could be your plant-based powders, your eggs, and your dairy, because I know we have some vegans that want to do this or vegetarians that want to do this. So you don't need as much protein, but the mistake with many vegetarians is they eat a lot of carbohydrates. So that's what we don't want. So let me give you some examples of plant or animal proteins. So animal proteins basically is anything with a face. Okay, so it's a fish, it's a chicken, it's cow. Those are all your animal-based proteins. So examples, I said beef, chicken, turkey, bison, ostrich, pork, duck. Those are some good examples. And you have your non-animal sources. Let's talk about fats. So fats this is what your diet primarily is going to consist of, is fat. So this is kind of tricky where it comes in with keto is you need fats to protect your organs, but your brain thrives off of fat as well. That's the fuel source that we want to switch to. So we want to make sure that you are consuming enough fat so that your body becomes dependent on fat and not on glucose as a fuel. So the fats, once again, they come from your animal proteins that we just talked about. And they also come from non-animal proteins. So that's from avocados and avocado oil, olives, olive oil, coconut, so that could be coconut butter, coconut oil, coconut cream, MCT oil, grass-fed, your fats from grass-fed butter, ghee, also some of your dairy products like cheese, so that's something else. And they also come from nuts and the oils from macadamia nuts, from pecans, from even have almond. So those are some different types of oils. So let's talk a little bit about the traditional ketogenic diet. Well, the traditional ketogenic diet, they're really, really strict. And I just want to share this with you, but it's going to be different the way it is for women because, as I mentioned, women are different. We need a little bit more carbs in our diet to start with, and then we're going to wean you off into something that's comfortable for you because you really need a lot of fats to make hormones. And we have been for many years told not to eat fat, keep low fat. But when you have low fat, you can't make hormones and you need that. And so that's your body's language of the communication. So traditionally in the ketogenic diet, carbs are only 5 to 10% of your calories, what you're having. And what that equates to is in grams. So 0 to 20 grams is really a strict ketogenic. That's very minimal strict carbs. And then you have 20 to 50, which is more of your moderate carbs. That's kind of where I float around a lot, is in the 20 and 50. And then more liberal is between 50 and 100 grams. Now, if you're doing the standard American American diet, you're probably getting anywhere over 100 grams. So transitioning even into a moderate liberal carb ketogenic diet is still going to be sufficient enough. So let's talk about protein. Protein, as for a strict ketogenic diet, can be anywhere from 20 to 25. Some even say that it's as low as 15 to 25% of calories. So we talked about the different sources of that. And then fat, that's the good one. Between 70 and 80% of your calories should be coming from fat. So this is what I want you to do. You are going to go, there's a link here with an app where you can go figure out your macros. What do you need, just to give you some guidelines. But tomorrow we are going to cover, I'm going to make it really easy for you, where it's kind of like a Weight Watchers things where you're counting points. So I'm going to give you keto protein points, keto fat points, keto carb points, and it's going to be really simple for women. We're not going to get all excited and stressed out about, did I meet my macro range? So I'm going to give you a handout, and it's all going to come together. Okay, so the app is ketodietapp.com, and you basically are just putting your weight, your age, activity level, body fat percentage, and even if you don't know your body fat percentage, I did give you an idea here that it could be, you can even guesstimate. If you're pretty lean, you might be 15, maybe 18%. If you're an athlete, I think for the sake of this video, most people are probably going to be somewhere in between, closer to 30 to 40% body fat. Yeah, that sounds pretty high for ladies, but that's the reality of it. So we talked about what the carbs, proteins are, what the macros are, how many you're going to get. Number 2, that's why I asked that you do the app. Number 3, what I want you to do today is just start adding superfoods to your eating plan. Yesterday you got your shopping list, and I just wanted you to eat real food. Today I want you to start eating actually more fat, but I'm going to give you the breakdown tomorrow. Add more superfoods like asparagus, great for the kidneys, bone broth, great for the gut, great for the joints, skin, hair, nails, fermented foods like sauerkraut, even pickles, those are great for your gut, even aloe vera and sea salt. So I gave you 5, but those 4 you can easily put in: the asparagus, the bone broth, the fermented foods, and the sea salt. So that's going to be your homework. So tomorrow what we're going to do is the fun part, because I'm going to make it very simple for you as far as what you're supposed to eat, as far as like the macros. What does breakfast look like? What does lunch look like? What does dinner look like? So it's going to be really easy. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow, because we're not going to start strict as a lot of these typical ketogenic diets, where you're only going to have 20 grams of carbs a day to start. That's ridiculous. It's difficult for a lot of women, and that's why they don't stick to this program, and it doesn't work. And they become irritable, and they transition through something called the keto flu. And we're going to talk about that in some of the upcoming videos. So I just wanted to give you that information. So you got a little bit of homework assignment. Go back and review video 1, and I'll catch you on the next one.